Hello there, I'm back with yet another tutorial about React and styled components. In this video we are going to design this page, this landing page, which is based on a design file in Figma, which is called landing page 2, and you can find it over here. I've decided to create this page, the sample page, because there is a lot of blocks and components inside this Figma file, and actually you can go ahead and type in Landify and you will find it over here. It's a Figma file, pre-designed Figma file, which you can use to create your landing page. It makes your life a lot of easier. So let's go back over here and take a look at the components and the blocks. As you can see, there is a lot of blocks for each section. For example, we got 7 different headers over here, and so on, 7 different footers, and 7 different heroes, as you can see. So I've decided to do this because it uses kind of all of the blocks and components, and if you go ahead and define them once, you can use them twice, and that's a good point for us. The video is based on the comment from Clovis Rosa, which suggested that we do the landing page from the Landify, so shout out to him. And let's get back over here and take another look at the final project. Okay, now that we took a look at the elements that we are going to use and the project that we are going to base our project on, so let's go ahead and deep dive into the code and see how to do this. Okay, as always, the main step, or the first step, is going to be to create the project itself. So I will go ahead and duplicate this repository and come over here. Inside this folder, I will open a new command prompt or CMD, or if you're on Mac or Linux, you can use a terminal. We'll type git clone, paste repository, give it a directory name, which is going to be YT React UI and Landify. So I'll press enter and it will clone that for us. After that, we will navigate inside that directory, remove the git folder, and open the Visual Studio Code over here. And let's see. Close this one. That was loud. Let me reduce the volume. Okay. And let me close this. Okay. After that, we should configure some namings over here and change this React UI and YT React UI and Landify. So after that, we should come over here inside the src file into the assets folder, and there is going to be a file called theme.js. It was colors.js, but I've changed it because in the next video we are going to cover breakpoints and how to make responsive applications using React and styled components, and the name color doesn't fit that, so I've changed it to themes so we can use so much other items inside here. As you can see, by default inside this repository we got these breakpoints, but we don't need them in this project because this project is not responsive, and so on. Let me remove this and remove this one, and I'm not going to type in anything in here. I will comment this one out. I will tell you why, because if we come over here into this Figma file, it's pretty much organized, so we are going to follow the same step as them. So in here, if you pay attention into the right section, we get to see the rulings, colors, the font sizes, and etc. So let me come over here inside the components, and inside the styles, sorry. Inside the styles, we get to see all the attributes for each of these components. For example, for the heading 1 or the h1, we get the first one is the font size, second one is the line height, if I'm not wrong, and third one is let me check this. I will into the components. For example, in here for button, as you can see, it uses the medium label. And if I go over here and edit this, you can see that the first one is the font size, second one is the line height, and the third one is the letter spacing. So let's get back into the styles, and first is font size, line height, and letter spacing, and the font weight, the last one, extra bold, bold, regular, and so on. Okay, we are going to define them inside our project first, then we go ahead and use the components to access them and create that specific component. So to do that, I will come back over here. Inside this, we need to define some new objects. So first of all is going to be the colors. So let me uncomment this one. Inside the colors, we should define another object. So let me show you how. If we come back over here, close this one, we can see that there is a color styles. Inside that, we got the brand, which contains a lot of colors. We got the text, we got the default, we got the accent, we got the avatar, and the gradient. Actually, we are going to use the gradient, the default text, and the brand. We are not going to use these two. They are if you follow the steps for these ones, you can go ahead and use these ones because they are the same. And I will come over here and say brand is a new object. Open this one, go back in here, let me close one of this. Inside this, I will define the colors. So for example, we're going to define the purple, which is, let me grab the color and paste it over here. We get, let me duplicate those, purple 800, purple let's see 100, and the colors, let me grab those, remove this one and the third one. Okay, and you should go on and repeat these steps for this design files or any other design files that you are using. You can structure your colors this way. So for the colors, I will stop right here because I have the complete colors. There's a lot of colors. We cannot go ahead and define them all. It will make the video very long and we don't want that. Okay, I got the colors here, the colors file here, actually the theme file over here, and I will not show you that right now because we are going to cover other sections. Next section is going to be the actually you can go ahead and use that for all. We need to define the gradients. So for the gradients, we can go ahead and create a new object called gradient. Gradient, which is another object, and first gradient is white. So let me take a look at it. It's a linear gradient, and as you can see, the first color is white for with the 100% opacity, and the third one is the white with 0% opacity. Actually, it's transparent. So let's get back over here, call it white, and inside that we need two colors. First one is going to be white or FF with the transparency of the 100, which is FF. It's the hex value for 100 inside. Actually, it's not 100, but it will says that the opacity should be to maximum or 100. Next one is going to be, let me grab this one, paste it over here. Next one should be 0 0 because the last one is, this is the color and this is the opacity or the alpha, if I'm not wrong. So and we have another gradient which is subtle blue, and if I come over here, first one is this color. Let me grab this, paste it over here, opacity of 100, and the second color is this one with the opacity of 100. So, and that's how you define your gradients, and we actually covered the colors. The next one is going to be textile. So let me create a new new object here. Const textiles, and it's going to be an object. Inside the textile, we are going to define our styles for each one of these. So first is going to be heading. Let me make it like this. First is going to be heading. So I will go ahead and say heading, and inside the heading itself is an object. Inside that we need another object called h1, and inside the h1 we are going to define the values that we just seen over here. So for h1 we got 72 pixels for the font size. So font size is going to be, let me capitalize it, font size is going to be 72 pixels. The font or the line height is going to be 98 pixels. The letter spacing is going to be 0. Actually all of them are 0, but this one, only this one is not 0, but we will define that. And the font weight is going to be, let me see, it's extra bold. Extra bold is equals to 800 in the stylings. If you come over here, CSS extra bold, you can see inside here the values which are equal to those. You can see thin or hairline is 100 and extra bold is 800. So let's get back over here. Let me close this one, and now that you know how to define these ones, we will go ahead and move to the next section. Let me see. We got the subtitle, we got the lead, we got the body. Actually we are going to use the label, body, lead, subtitle, and the heading. None other than those. So I will define those later, because actually I'm not going to define them. I will just copy and paste them. I have them already. So next step is going to defining the shadows over here. So the shadows are a bit tricky because we are going to pass in the values of them. So in order to do that, you can come over here and let me show you. If you go on inspect and come over here, you can see the CSS values in here. That's the beauty of Figma. So in here we'll create a new object called shadows, is equal to an object, and the first one is going to be the nav bar. I will not repeat the shadow because it's inside the Figma. We have the object called shadows, and when we access that, we go ahead and say shadows dot navbar. We don't need to say shadow again at the end of the naming. So navbar is going to be equals to and string, which is this. Here is the box shadow. We are not going to use box shadow because the images that we are going to use are transparent, and we should use the filter drop shadow. So I will just use the values over here, sorry, and just use them whenever or wherever I want. So the shadows are going to be defined like this, and it goes the same way for all of them. So next thing that we need is actually we got the colors, we got the shadows, we got the textiles, and we should be good to go. So let me go ahead and grab the values from the file here, and before that I should remove the hidden files, and oops, I closed it. If I open this, you can see I got the colors and everything. There is one more thing I should mention here, and I will. Just let me grab that, paste it over here and check that everything is fine. So as you can see, we got all the shadows, all the colors, all the gradients. Let me compare them to this. As you can see, we got all the headings here, and right in here we got something called bundler. What's bundler? When we are going to use these stylings inside the styled components, we could just use them in different lines like this. Let's say we got a component here using styled components, whatever, it's going to be div. So let's say we are going to use the stylings for the heading one or this one. Okay, we could come over here, say font size is equals to textiles dot heading dot h1 dot font size, and for the font or the line height we could do the same and take the line height. But this one will actually we don't need to do this for each and every one of the components. It will only take our time. We could do something called bundling them, which is the bundler is a function which takes the attributes or takes the object and it will print them in a string way for us like this. It uses the attribute font size, font weight, line height and the letter spacing, and return us these values in string. So, and keep in mind that we got the semicolon at the end of them. So we could go ahead and instead of this, actually if we are going to go all the way, we should have two more lanes for the letter spacing and the line font weight, but we are not going to do that. We are going to go ahead and say just give us the bundler. Okay, so we could say textiles dot bundler and pass in the values. So this is going to be h1. Okay, no problem, pass in the h1 in here, and if I press save, we get this h1 as the string. It will actually inject the h1 inside this function, and when the function gets it, it uses the font size, it uses the font weight, line height and the letter spacing, and gives us back this string here, which we could use inside the styled components. And actually that's a clever way to avoid typing again those lines like this in each and every way, in each and every component. So I'll delete this, and now that we've done that, let me go all the way in here, remove this one, and one more thing to do before we get started. I should copy the images that was used inside this design, and I have them already over here. So I'll reveal this folder inside the assets, and I have the images here as the SVGs. Copy this, paste it in assets, and we are good to go. We could go ahead and start coding. So first step is going to come over here, or actually before that we need to do npm install to get the packages installed. Okay, now the packages are installed, and we should go ahead and type npm start to get the project up and running. And after that we could go ahead and define these components that we are going to use in here, which are these ones. As you can see, we should define the button, we should define we actually need this button. We are not going to use this, but we will define it, and this one, and alongside with the stylings here. So the project is up and running. So let me do a bit cleaning, remove the extra stylings. We don't need the title. Inside the app element, the display is going to be flex. Min height is going to be 100% of the viewport's height, and the flex direction is column. So I will save that, and as you can see, we got nothing to show here. We're going to define the elements inside the Figma file, and you actually get the elements from the Figma file and define them inside our project. Inside the assets, I will create a new folder called components. Inside the components, actually let me show you a good trick over here. You could go ahead and say new folder components and just define the folders inside it like this. And inside the components, we need the folder called styled. If I press enter, you can see that we get the both folders. Inside the style, we need a new component called button, which is let me go back to the components, this button. So I will create a new file called button.styled.js, and we should export the button styled button, and the styled should be imported from styled components, and at the end we should export it. Export button, export default button. Okay, for the button, let me include it here first so we can see the changes, and actually make this like this, make it a little bit thinner. I'm going to close this one, and as you can see, we got this button over here. The background color is kind of the primary or the brand purple. So for the button, I will go ahead and use it inside the app so we can see the changes. Button here, import it, and type something, for example, button. So we got the button over here, the display flex, that's why it's stretched all the way out. And for the button, first of all, we don't need the borders, so border is going to be none, and the padding is going to be 0.5 rem for the top and 1 rem for the sides, and we are going to give it some transition. So transition property is going to be for the background color, for the color, and for the border color. So background color, the color, and the border color, and the transition duration is going to be 0.3 rem, or sorry, 0.3 seconds, and we should set the cursor to pointer. If I press save, you can see that the button is over here, the border is gone, the cursor is changed. So for the button, we got 3 styles over here. First one is small, second one is medium, and the third one is the large. So the medium is going to be the default style for this button, and to actually make it kind of reactified, we should use the styled, or sorry, the props over here. So if we need the large one, we should go ahead and say size is equal to LG, or anything that we want to define over here. And or if you want the medium one, you can go ahead and say just the button, because it's the default one. Or for the small one, we could go ahead and SM, type in SM as the size. So now we should go back into the button. We are going to use the styles that we defined in the theme. So in order to use that, we are going to use the props here. So I will pass in the prop or the P. I will call it P. You can call this one anything you want. And in here we are going to use a switch. So If you want to use in here, you can use the conditional rendering, so like something like this, p dot some props. If it exists, do something. If it does not exist, do something else. But if you are going to use something like if something like switch or any other JavaScripts here, we should go ahead and use the brackets here. So inside the brackets, we should return a string from these brackets to be included inside the style. So inside the brackets, we are going to use a switch for the. Let me go ahead and type switch for the p dot size. So, and first case is going to be m, which is small. If it's small, if the p dot size is small, return this value, which is text styles, which is the values that we just defined here. Text styles, we are going to, let me see which one is this. If you click on this, you can let me go ahead and change it to design. You can see that it uses the small label, so we are going to use the small label, which is this one, label small here. So I will say textiles bundler and pass in the textiles dot label dot small, and just like that I will return it. Or the problem is the switch is not complete, and we should return it actually. And the default case, and remove this because we are already inside a JavaScript environment, and the default is going to be, let me return the default medium, and for the large one we are going to say LG large. So we've defined this here, and let's check it out. Inside the app I will say size equal to LG. Press save. We can see that the styles are applied. If I go ahead and say SM, you can see that styles are applied again. So I'll remove this. If I remove the flex from here, you can see that the button goes back to normal, and size is going to be large, and press save. You can see that the button changes. So let's get back over here again, and this button, actually this one has 6 pixels for the border radius. Let's apply that. Border radius is 6 pixels, and right now we are kind of done with this, but we could go ahead and define another button for each one of those, but I'm going to define a single component for these 3 buttons, which we could use everywhere we want and control them using the props. So the whole idea is, if we want to get this button, just pass in nothing, it's a default one. If we want this one, we could go ahead and say maybe the variation, or any prop naming you want. I will call it variation, because the button has the type prop by default, and I'm not going to use it. I'm going to use the variation and use the var instead of it. So if we pass the variation of the secondary or the sec, we get this button, and the outlined we get this one. So let me duplicate this, remove this one, and change it to sec. And we got 3 buttons here. Change display to flex direction to column. Oh, it's actually on column, sorry. If I press save, you can see they are all going to stretch. So let me set the justify content to flex start. It does not apply. Or I should actually remove this. Okay, inside the button we are going to use another switch, but this time for the variation. So once again we use the props and use the switch again. This one, the key is going to be var, or the variation. if the case is sec or the secondary, oops, sec, let me close this one, we are going to return this one, this string actually. Let me remove the break, and inside this we will define some stylings. So in order to do that, I will define the stylings here, then copy them into this namespace, because we got the IntelliSense and the auto formatting here, or the beautified version of them here. So I will go ahead and type in background color to default, or not the default, it's going to be colors dot, let's check. For secondary, the background color is, let me see, background color is the purple 100. So this one is going to be brand purple 100. The color is the primary, or I could call it primary, but it's not primary, it's not called primary. It's going to be purple. For the and we are going to give it some hover effect. So on the hover, the background color is going to get changed alongside with the color. So this one is going to be purple 800. This hover effect is not in this file. I decided to use it because it makes the project more responsive, in a way, more interactive. So, and it's going to be 100, and the text is going to be default white. And if I save this, I will grab this one, paste it over here, make it to look better, like this, indent it actually. And if I press save, come back in here, you can see that the second button got the stylings, as you can see. And if I come over here and say size to large, you can see, oops, I set it for the third one, we get the size applied too. So let's get back in here, can actually copy this and paste it for the outline one. Outline one is going to be a bit tricky, but don't worry. Outline one needs the color, so background color is going to be transparent, and parent. The color is going to be, let me see, I think it's default white, sorry. So the colors dot default dot white. Oops, I closed the whole project, so I will go ahead and tap in code, and we got it back. It's going to be white. And after that, we should go over here, and actually we need a border over here. So border is going to be 1 pixel solid. You can see that over here, the border, 1 pixel, white color, 1 pixel solid, colors, default white, and semicolon here. And as you can, actually we don't see that right now because we haven't saved it, maybe. Let me see. Outline. Oh, it does not apply because if we close the project, we should start it again. And as we cannot see that because it's white, but we will see that in a second. So if I change the app background to color to, I don't know, 21, You should see that right there. So let's go back to the bottom, and for the hover effect, let me copy these 2 or 3 and come down here. Actually, we don't need the border. We're going to change the color on and the background color. Color is going to be default white, background color, sorry, and the color is going to be default black. And if I go ahead, hover over it, you can see that it changed like that. So I will remove this one, or let me keep that. Let's go back to the default font, which is this one. And if I copy this and paste it for the default, press save. And for the background color, it's going to be colors dot brand purple, and the color is default white. We don't need the border. And when we hover over it, let me see, we should get the purple 800, purple 800 from the brand. The color is going to be black, default black. And we got our 3 bottoms and up and ready. We can go ahead and use them wherever we want. So let me close the buttons. So we covered these 3 different type of buttons here. The next one is going to be this one, the link kind of button. So in here I will create a new file called, let me see the naming in here. It's let me see, it's actually called linked label icon, so I will call it LLI. Sorry, LLI.styled.js. Inside this file, we should actually go ahead and create a new styled component. So import styled from styled component, and const LLI equals to styled.a. It's a link actually, and export it. Export default LLI. So, and actually we should remove this because we are going to use icons in here and some other elements. We should use a React functional component or React class component, no matter which one you use. And change this one to LLI element as we always do. Save it over here, and we need to import some icons. These 3 different icons here. First one is going to be import arrow small from the assets images. Actually we were fine here. Images and icons. Arrow right small, that's VG. Save it, duplicate it, come back over here. This one is arrow and this one is arrow large, so we should change it over here and press save. For this purpose we need another component called image, or we could go ahead and use the image tag directly, but I would prefer to use a shared or styled component for that purpose. So new file called image styled.js, and I will go ahead and create a new component, create a new variable which is going to be a component, img equals to styled img, and I will export it by default. And inside here we need two properties. The first one is going to be width, which is props. If we have the prop width set, we will use it, and if it does not exist, we don't use it. That's simple. Duplicate it, replace the width with height, and we are good to go. Close this, import the img from img, and we are back in the LLI component. So for the LLI, I think we need the colors and the text styles too. So import colors, text styles from, actually we got that one from here. Oh, we don't get that anymore. That's that from the theme. Press save, move it down a little bit. Let's get back over here, remove those. LLI. I'm not going to save it yet because we don't have anything here, as you can see. And actually we have an error here. So let me check the images inside here. SRC, assets, images, and icons. We got the arrow right is, so where is the problem? Let me copy this, paste it over here. I think the problem is here. Let me check this. And the images, icons, and the arrow, SVG. So inside the styled, I don't. Yeah, as you can see, we have this assets. It should not be here, and this one should be small. Let me check that again. Or yeah, we got the large one, we got the small one, and the default one. So if I press save, everything should be good to go. So let me zoom in, see what label does it use. It uses the small label, same as the button. So in here, let me close this and get back in here. So we're going to take some attributes from the props. First one is the children, which is the text actually. The size, or it could be anything. Size and the href. Inside here, we're going to pass in the href here, and the size is equals to href, and size is equal to size. In here we need some conditional rendering. Let me pass in the children first, then for the icon we should check the size. So the size is equal to small, we will render the image, and this RC is going to be arrow small. Where is it? Arrow small, and close it. And if it's not, just don't do anything. So we'll copy this 2 more times. This one is going to be default, and this one is going to be large. And in here I should rename this, and we are not actually getting anything, so we will check if the size exists. If it does not exist, which means it's the default button. So if it does not exist, or we could give an option like this, or if the size is equals to MD. In case if anyone passed in the MD, we get the default one again. So I will save it, and as you can see, it's a default one. If I pass in the size as large, we get the bigger one, and if I pass in the small, we get the small one, just like that. And let me fix this. Get started. I save it. You can see that we get the text over here, but we don't have the styling yet, so let's go back in and style that. The color is the purple, so in here I will set the display to flex, align items center. The color is going to be colors dot brand dot purple, and in here we need another switch for the styling from the labels. So let me see if I can grab that from this one and paste it over here, because they use the same label. So if I press save, you can see that we get everything here, but there is something wrong, I think, with this one. It should not be that bold. Yeah, the font weight is 600. So let me go back to theme, or we could access it from here. 600. It should not be like that. Let me check in with the styles. The large label, they are semi-bold, so if I check this one, the semi-bold is 600. Okay, that's fine, so no problem here, my bad. Let's get back in here and give this image here. Let me see, access the image here, IMG, and give it a padding or the margin of left 0.5 rems, and that's fine right now. So let's test it out. If I pass in the size to LG, we get the big one. If I type in SM, we get the small one. If I type in MD, we get the medium one. So everything is working fine. After that, let me see, set the components. We've defined these 4 buttons. I'm going to define the headings right now. So I'll create a new file called h1 styled.js. For the h1, there's not much that we need to do, just pass in the stylings from the theme. So it's going to be styled.h1 and export default h1, sorry, default h1 equals to, or not equals, my bad. And in here you just need to type in the bundler, use the bundler. That makes our life a lot easier in here. Text styles dot bundler. Actually, let me see in here, inside this one, use this bundler, and yeah, that's fine, because we have another bundler here which is no difference with this one, and I think I should remove this, but I don't remove it right now. I will remove it at the end if we never used it. So textiles dot heading h1, it's capitalized, and we are not going to use the semicolon here, because each one of these lanes, or sorry, the lines has their own semicolons here. So I will press save, and there you go, you got your H1 here. I will go ahead and copy those because we need 6 of them. So inside the components, style H1, I will paste, let me see, there's 5 of them. Another one, this one is going to be H2, H3, H4, and if you come here, type H5, press styled. I forgot the styled. Press tab, you get to rename the other one, H6.styled. So this one is not required here. Let me add in styled here. Next one, and the next one, and we should be good to go like that. Let me copy this. Actually, there is one here, so change them to H2. This one is not capitalized. Remove it. H3, H3 here. Or we could use the numbers just like that, 4. And it's going to be 5. This one is going to be 6. Save it, and we got all the headings, all the stylings just like that. And the good part about it is that it will make managing your styles so easy using a file like this. So if I come here, change something about the styles here, they all get changed. So we don't need to go and change that in every file that we use, the H1, H2 or anything. And if you pass in some value, some responsive value, for example, if you get the width of your viewport, pass it in here, a portion of it, for example, I don't know, 10% of your width viewport is 48 pixels. That's kind of out of the mind, but it's just an example. If you pass in something like that, all of your text gets responsive, because if your width change, the value here change, and all of the stylings get changed. So you come back over here, let's see what do we need here. So we've defined the headings. We should go ahead and define the body. The body here, you can see that inside there. We should define the subtitles, the lead ones, and the body. So for the body, I will create a new file here called body.styled.js. Const body equals to styled dot the body. I will use P for it. You could use anything you want. Sport default body. Sorry, body here. And press save. For the body, we are going to do the same procedure that we've done with other components. So use the props, P, oh sorry, not the props, textiles dot bundler, and pass in the textiles dot body dot body1, and save it just like that. We need another body, and I will paste it over here, rename it body2. It's going to be 2 here and here and here. And if I press save, we got the bodies covered. Next one is going to be the lead. So for the lead, we are going to do the same. Actually, for all of them, we should do the lead, then do the subtitle. So lead.styled.js const lead equals to style dot, it's going to be span, export lead or default Oops. I should get used to this new keyboard. Okay, and we should import the style in here. Let me copy that from one of these, paste it over here. It's going to be lead dot let me see, there is something wrong here with this. Do we have the lead? Yeah, we have the lead here. So we don't have the textile import, that's why we don't get the IntelliSense. Lead 1 and save. Copy this one, paste it over here, rename it. It's going to be lead 2. And I don't need that one, so lead 2, export lead 2, save it. And the next one is going to be we got the lead, we should do the subtitle. A file called subtitle.styled.js, and grab it from one of those and change it to subtitle, and there you go. Copy this one, paste it again, rename it, and in here. And you're good to go. You got all your components from this one, from this page, and all the components from the buttons, and you can go ahead and actually use these basic components in your project. So we are going to go in the app, and let me remove this, change back this one, remove the background color, and we need to come over here into the sample page, and the first one is the hero. So you can see that we got the hero 3, which contains a nav bar here. The nav bar is a component itself, or the header, sorry. The header, the content, the phone mockup, and there is a background for it. So let's design that. In order to do this, I will come into the components, create a new folder called hero. I will place them inside different folders because we have so much heroes here. As you can see into the blocks, got 7 different heroes. I will just go ahead and do this one, the number 3, but if you want, you can fork this one on GitHub and create the other heroes, and actually go ahead, because it's so easy. You can define them all of these components, and whenever you need to create and do a landing page, you can just fork this repository, use the elements, and you're good to go. That's it. That's the beauty of managing your project. Give it a good structure and use components. That's the main reason of React, creating and splitting your code into small pieces of blocks of HTMLs, which you could use several times. Okay, let's get back over here and start styling this one. So first we need a navigation bar over here, or the header number 7. So I will come inside this place, new file called hero.js, and I will just keep this one empty, or we could go ahead and create a component for this one like this. Hero element equals to style dot. We could actually use let me see, an article for this one. We'll save it, type something here, or we don't need to type it actually. We'll create a new folder for the header, because the header is a separate component, and I will give it another folder, a separate folder. So new folder called header. Inside that I will create a new file called header.js, and we will create our header in this file, then include it then include it into the hero. So I will go ahead and say React functional component, copy this one, move it, and create a new style component using this dot header. For the header we need some icons. As you can see in here, we need the logo. Let me zoom in. We need the logo, and we need these to get the app images. So in order to do that, I will import them. Import logo from this folder, images, and it's going to be dark logo.svg. We save it, import the header here. Actually, let's try it over here, and use the hero here. If I come back over here, type something, you can see that we got our header. So I will import some other images. The next one is going to be Google Play image. Google Play, and this one is going to be App Store. So I will save that. Then we should go ahead and define the items which are in here. So we have two parts over here. As you can see, it's so small, sorry about that, but there's a right part and there's a left part. So we'll create two components here called left part. The naming is up to you. Style dot span. Copy this one, and it's going to be right part. So inside the left part, we got the logo. We got a navigation menu over here. So let's go ahead and define them actually. So we have a logo container. Style.a, because we want people to get redirected to the home page when they click on the logo. And we got the nav bar. So you can go ahead and define the nav bar in different file, but I'd rather to define it here because we are not going to use this one again, rather than the footer in the bottom. But that one is kind of different. So we come back over here, style.nav, and we have a nav item here, styled A, and that's it, just like that. So let's use them actually, and then style them. First we're going to use the parts, left part, and it's going to be right part. In the left part we should use the logo container, and in the logo container we need the img. You should import it here. src is going to be to the equals to logo, and close the tag right here. We got the logo here, and then we got the nav bar. Inside the nav bar we need the nav item. Actually we need 6 of this, so 2 more should be fine. First one is about, next one is products, and pricing, blog, and jobs. In the end we need the more. So more is a drop down one, but we are not going to cover that in this video. I'm planning to do some videos about navbar styling and animation, so I will cover that in those videos. So after that we should give this tags, sorry, the links and href. Let's save that. We are fine, or we are done with the left part. Let's go to the right part. Right part is so easy. It contains of two images. First one is the, let me see, the Google Play one, so Google Play image, and the second one is App Store. Let me remove the image here. If I press save, we get those two icons here, or the images here. You could actually make them a link, so when you click on them you get redirected to the page. So you could go ahead and say as an A. It's a feature, it doesn't work actually, I should change it. But the as works, and we are going to use it for the buttons. So let me show you a use case for it, or we could show you that in this section, because we will define a button here and render it as an A tag. So when you go on your page you see an A tag, but the stylings are the same as the button. So let's come over here and start styling the header section. For the header section we need to set the padding first. Padding is going to be 1 rem for top and bottom, 0 for the sides. Width is going to be 100%. Display is going to be flex. Set the items, align the items to center, and justify them, justify the contents to space between. If I save it, it's the little screen. Let me create a new screen for the bigger image, as you can see, like this. And let's get back over here. For the left part we should set the display to flex. Set the display to flex, okay. And then set the column gap to 1 rem. After that we should come right down here for the right part. Set the display to flex too. Align items center. Justify content center again, and just like that. For the next one, which is the logo container, we should set the display to flex again, and do the same for this. Or actually, I made a mistake here. Right part should be display flex, column gap like this. And it's actually the same for the both of them. So I press save and come back here. You can see that we get the items aligned in a row. So now for the nav bar, then again the display is going to be flex. The column gap is 1 rem again. Let me copy this. And then we should align the items center. Set the color to colors. Forgot this one here. Colors default black. Then we should apply the stylings for each one of these, because if you come in here, right over here, you can see that, let me see, this one uses the label medium and it takes gray 900, so I will remove this black and change it to text gray 900, and after that I will apply the textile links from the textile dot bundler and pass in the label medium attribute. So textiles label medium. Where is medium? I cannot find it. So let's see if we have the label medium defined in here. Themes, label, small, medium. We got the medium. So what's the problem? We're passing the medium. Yeah. So the next one is going to be setting this one, this the links color. So in order to do that, I will come here, say a, or we could go ahead and just say that in here. So we remove this, and in here I'll say a visited, or not the a because it's the a itself, visited. Set the color to this and press save, just like that. And it should be it for the header. So just like this, as you can see, we got the header. Don't worry about the margins on the side, we will apply that inside the hero. We will give it a padding of 3 rem and 7 rem, or actually we don't, the padding is going to be 0, just like that. So it's going to be the header that we got here. In the after we define the header, we should go and create the content, because in here we need a container for these 2 items, the right one and the left one. So I will use a content here. So to define that, I will create a new content here, styled div maybe, or let me see. We could use a section, but keep in mind that section should have it's semantic to have a header h1 in it. So that's why we are using it, because we have a h1 here. Content, and we should have a title here, styled, and it takes the h1 attributes, inherit them. So let me import this one, h1 from styled h1 over here, and save it. So after the header, we use the content, and we will wrap these 2 in a span, then use the title, which is going to be this one. Save it. As you can see over here, we got the title, and then we need a button here, which says get started, and I think it's a medium one. Let me see. No, it's a large one, so we'll type in the size, go to LG, which is the large one. So let me go back here. As you can see, we got the button over here. So next step is going to be using this image. So in here I will say image rc equals to phone mockup, which we haven't imported yet. So import phone mockup from, let me see the path for it. It's inside the assets, and assets images. It's called phone mockup SVG, and just save it. So we don't have the image imported. Phone mockup is, let me see, yeah, the naming is wrong. So we got the image here. You should apply the shadow. So I'll come here, create a new component called image, styled. It inherits from the image. And let me replace this one with this. And in here we're going to apply the shadow. But the shadow, I said we are going to use the filter drop shadow. What's the difference between the filter drop shadow and the shadow box? The shadow box applies the filter to the element, to the box. It doesn't look to the transparency and doesn't consider transparency at all. But the filter drop shadow considers the transparency and applies that to the object. So let me show you the difference here. So if I use box shadow and use the shadows here, let me see, come on, and use the shadows here, and I don't know, maybe mobile mockup, and save this, you can see that it applies it to the box, to the element. But if I change this one to the filter drop shadow, and just like this, and save it, you can see that it does apply it to the object. So that's the difference between them, and we should go ahead and start styling them. For the hero element, we need to set the display to flex. Flex here, and flex direction is going to be column. Width is going to be 100%. Background is an image, so we use URL here, and actually we should import the background image. So import bg image from the images. From the images, it's called hero background.svg, and I should pass that in here. And if I press save, you can see that we get the background image here. We should apply some styling to it. So I will set the background repeat to no repeat, then background size to cover. And now you should set the row gap to 4rem. It will apply some gap between this. Let me show you. This one, the content, and the header. If I press save, you can see that we get the gap here, and we got the padding already in here, so the hero element should be fine. Now for the content, set the display to flex, justify content, space between, and the column gap, or the gap in general, is going to be 2 rems. As you can see in here, that we got this space here up and running. In the last section, actually, for this hero, we should set the margin top. margin up to 1 rem. Let me see. I don't think 1 rem is enough. Or maybe it's fine, you know. So we'll set the padding top to 3 rem. As you can see, that it goes right in here. So if we got this hero section up and running, we should go ahead and define the next section. Let me see, what's the next section? It's the logo clouds. So I will close this and keep this open. In here I will create a new folder called logo clouds. And it's actually logo clouds. Logo quotes, no, I misspelled it. Clouds, like that. I will create a new component called logo clouds.js. For the logo cloud we need some images, and it's actually got some lines in it and some divider here. So as you can see, there's 2 dividers, and they use the linear for the background, the linear that we just defined, I guess. No, it's different. It's not the same for this gradients. Let me see. Where's gradients? Right here. No, the values are different. So I will grab this one. Actually, let me change it to RGBA, or let's see this. Yeah, RGBA. Actually, you can just use it here. So I'll say you can't do this way, or just define it in 2 different values, just like this, you know. But I will use the same method that we used here. I will call it divider. First one is going to be this, and there's something in between, so I will just go ahead and grab the CSS from here. So you can see that the background is this linear. I'll remove it. We're not going to define it in here. We could define it in here, but we are not. I'll save it in here and get back inside the logo clouds, create the element, style dot, we could say div, maybe. We could use article here and import. We got this style actually. Let me replace this with these 2 divs. And inside the app we are going to use the logo clouds, just like that. Okay. So for the logo clouds we need some images. These icons here: Airbnb, HubSpot, Google, and Microsoft, Walmart, and the FedEx. So let's go ahead and import them. Import what was the first one? Let me see. Airbnb logo from images. Let me see. It's called Airbnb logo.svg. Let me copy this, and next one is I think HubSpot. Next one is Google, and next one is going to be Microsoft, Walmart. Oops, I messed it up here. Walmart, this mod here, Microsoft. Misspelled it here, Microsoft. It's fine here. Google logo, that's fine. And the last one is FedEx. So I think it's capitalized. Yeah, it's capitalized. So after that, we should go ahead and define the elements that we are going to use. We have the main element here. We need a container for the icons and dividers. First divider, style.span and const and logo container style span, and we are going to use them in here. So a divider at top, another divider for the bottom, then the logo container. Inside the logo container, we're going to use an image. This RC is equals to Airbnb logo. Let me actually fix this and save. Let's see if we get the logos. So the Google. Okay. It should be fine now. Yes, we got the Airbnb here. Make it a little bit smaller. So let's go back in here and use the other icons. We need 5 more of this. So there you go. And it's HubSpot, Google, Microsoft, and Walmart, and at the end FedEx. We press save, we get the logos over here. So let's go ahead and style them. For the logo container, or the logo cloud, sorry, we should set the display to flex. Flex direction is going to be column. Align items center. Margin is going to be 3 rem and 0. As you can see, we got them items here, and we need a row gap of 2 rem. Okay, now we should set the divider. The background color is going to be this one, this one, and the width is going to be 90%. Height is going to be 0.2 rems. And if I press save, you can see that we get the gradient effect, and the icons are in between them. So next step is going to be giving some space to the icons. So we set the logo container display to flex, justify content center, align items center, and the column gap is 2 rems, just like that. And you got your logo clouds right here. So let me compare that. It's the same here. I think this one is thinner, so but we could go ahead and save 1 pixel here, not here, here. As you can see, it converts that to the 1 pixel, but I like the last one a bit more, so we'll change it to this one. Yeah, there you go. So the next step is going to be this feature multiple. So let's go ahead and do that. Let me come here, create a new folder called feature multiple, because we have another feature here called feature single, and we will create them inside this folder. So for the multiple, we are going to create a new file here called let me see, we're going to name this feature m.js, and let me create a React functional component l const equals to style article, and for this section we need 6 icons. So import icon 1 from images, icons, and icon number 1. And press save. Let me use it here. And we got the error. So let me see. Yeah, we should go back another layer, and it should fix it, just like that. So come over here and import the other icons, 3 and 6 of them. And number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. Sorry. And after that, we are going to create a new object here, array of items, which is going to hold these items for us, because we are going to use a map function and display them in a grid. So I will store them in a array of items. So they need ID, they need an icon. I will pass in the icon 1 for now. Title, I will pass in empty for now, and the text, which is going to be empty now. We need 6 of these, and like that. So text of the first one is robust workflow. Subtext is this. I think all of them share same subtext. Yeah, they all share the same lorem ipsum. So I'll paste this for all of them, just like that. For the title, flexibility, user friendly, and multiple layouts, better components, and well organized for the last one. So let me change the icons. Icon number 6. Actually, I think for the icon number 6, we should import the number 8, because 6 is another icon, not this one. So number 6, number 5, number 4, oops, number 4, number 3, and number 2. So we'll use this just in a bit. After that, we need a title here for this one, and a subtitle. The title is let me see, is heading 2. So counts, let me import the heading 2 first. H2. From the styled and H2, and it's going to be title styled H2. Actually, we don't need to create a new variable from it or new component, style component. We could just go ahead and use the H2 that we've just defined, just like this. H2 and tailor-made features, just like that. You can see here, we don't need any extra styling here. After that, we need the subtitle. Comes the subtitle. It uses the lead. Let's see if we get the auto import. No. So let's duplicate this one and replace it with the lead. And right over here, change this one to lead 2. And it should be text align center. And after that, we need another thing called item container. Styled div, and in here let me use the subtitle, grab the text over here, then for the item container we are going to map the items right here. But before that, we should create the item, then we use this specific item that we are going to create inside the map. So in here I will create a new file called feature item.js. Create a new React functional component for it, then a new styled component. And in here we need 3 things: the icon, the title, and the subtitle or text. So we will destructure them from the props, or actually we should receive the props as a single item, then destructure them in here. Icon or the ID, we should access the ID. We don't need it, but we could access it in here because we have that in the objects. Icon, title, and the text is equals to item. And we need a title styled. It's H5, I guess. Let me see. Yes, the title is H5. The text is body 1, so H1. Once again, oh, sorry, not the H1, H5. Once again, actually we don't need this. We are not going to use any extra styling. We're just going to use the H5. And the text is equals to styled. It was body. Text align center. And we should import the body here. Let me change this. just like that. Right in here we are going to use an image. This equals the icon. Then we use the h5 and use the title in it, and in the end we use the text and use the let's say the text inside it. If we save this, our feature item is completed and we could use it in here. So feature item, you can get the auto completion. So I'll import this here, feature item from feature item here. Save this, come right down here, map the items. That's map item, pass this one here, return it. Key is going to be item.id, and item is equals to item. If I save this, we come back over here, you can see that we get all of our icons and titles and the text here. So now we should go inside the features right here and start styling them. So for the feature element, we need the margin top, 5 rem, display to flex direction to column, and align items center, just like that. If you save this, you can see that gets right in the middle. And let me see, do we need to apply the padding? Yeah, actually we need the padding in here, so I will set some padding here, through rem, and for top and bottom, 7 rem for the sides. I pass in this padding for each element. In here we could go ahead and set the padding on the app element, but if we do that, we kind of get some problems with the we don't have any elements that goes beyond the page margins or the page borders. Okay, but if you want to make an item or a slider or something like that go beyond the borders or become the full width, then if we pass the padding to the app element, we can't do that. We can do that, but it's going to make our life a bit trickier. So I will pass in the padding to each element, but if you want, you can just remove these paddings that we just passed to the elements and just set the padding in here. Okay, so let's move on. For the title, actually we didn't use the title, we used the h2. Then we need the subtitle only needs this one, the text align to the center. But for the item container, we are going to use the grid. So set the display to grid, and grid set the templates of this column, set the column templates for this grid to actually we need the 3 rows, 3 columns, sorry. So I will use the repeat function, and we need the one fraction, and it will repeat that for us 3 times. It's a CSS function. And we need to set the padding. Actually we passed the padding here, we don't need it down here. Margin top, 2 rem, column gap, 2 rem, the row gap, 3 rem, just like that. If I press save, come here, you can see that the items are just like this. So, and I think we should set display flex here. So for the feature item, we need to set the display to flex. Flex direction to column, align items center, and row gap, or the gap in general, it's 0.5 rem. And if you save this, you can see that the items get a nice styling to them. Let me come over here and margin top, maybe 5. Yeah, 5 sounds better. And there you go. There is actually, I think there's a lot of space between these two. I will remove this one, and the padding will make up the space here. So next section is the let me see, the testimonial right over here. So let's do the testimonial. Create a new folder, same as the others. Testimonials. Oops, I created a new file instead of a folder. Testimonials. And for the testimonials, we are going to kind of do the same. We need some items here for these ones, and we are going to use grid again. So inside the testimonials, we create a new file. Testimonial.js. The same process that we do. Article. And actually in here we need some icons. This coat icon, this 3 icon for the Airbnb, Book My Show, and the HubSpot. So import Airbnb. Let me see if I can grab these from the where was it? The logo clouds. HubSpot, Airbnb, and paste them over here. The other one is Book My Show. Logo. And it's going to be Book My Show logo. Book My Show logo. Okay. Now that we've done that, we should create a new array of items, just like the testimonial here. Sorry, just like the feature multiple here for these testimonials here, or the comments. So counts the items. ID is 1. Icon or logo is, I will pass in the Airbnb logo. Text is nothing here. We have a name, and after that we have a job title. You can name it whatever you want, but as you can see in here, we got a name and a job title, Vice President of the GoPro Floyd Miles. So I will go ahead with that. And let me just grab this, copy this 3 times, or 2 times actually, and paste in the text. It's HubSpot logo. The text is something like this. The Book My Show. Actually, let me change this to. It's going to be something like this. The Airbnb is going to be this one. For the names, let me zoom in a bit. Name is going to be Jane Cooper. Job title is CEO of Airbnb. Then another one is the HubSpot, Floyd Miles, and Vice President of GoPro. And the other one is Christine Watson, is the co-founder of Book My Show. And go ahead and save that. Okay, now we need a title here, and the subtitle, let me see, it's lead, it's, and the other one is let me see, is heading 2. So we will const title styled h2. We get the auto import, that's rare. h2. Then we need the lead, we just copy that, lead. Do we get the auto import? Yes, we get, but not for the lead. For the lead too, I think if you use auto import for one of this in your project, it get cached or something like that, because we could use that. I think we will get h2 again if we want to import it. So right down here for the lead, actually, let me see, do we need to? Yeah, because we are going to change the text style here, so it's going to be colors auto import. Do we get that? Let's see. Yes, colors dot text dot gray 900. Grab this one, paste it for this again. And after that, we should create a container for the text container actually. So const text container styled the span. Now we should use the items here. Using them actually is kind of simple, because we are going to use grid again. So I will go ahead and say text container. Use the, let me see, title, which is going to be real stories from real customers. Subtitle is going to be, let me see, we have two titles here. Subtitle is going to be, actually we should import this here, testimonial. Save. Do we get any errors? No, that's good. Get inspired by those stories and paste it over here. And next one is going to be the testimonial items. We don't have them yet, but we are going to create that right now. New file, testimonial item.js. And in here, we should create a React functional component. And something like this, styled span. Or actually for the testimonials, we are going to use the semantic HTML structure. So I will use figure. And next thing we need is the image, then we need the text, we need the code, and these two at the end. So this one is lead, this one is subtitle, and this one is lead 2. So let me import those. And before that, I should import the style. lead 2. Let me see, this was lead 1, subtitle lead 2, lead 1, import lead 2, import sub title. Okay, we don't get that, so I'll copy this, come over here, and we import the subtitle just like that. And after that we need the content here, so we'll create a new styled component called content, styled div, then const block code, we are going to put this in a block code, author going to be styled span, person is going to be styled, actually it's going to be styled, and let me see, we are going to change the style of it, so we will inherit it from subtitle, and job title. So just like that. In here we need some destructuring here, so we get the item, get the empty, get the grid row. I will just explain it to you why we are getting these ones from the props. Empty stands for margin top. Grid row is used to place this item somewhere on the grid that we tell the item to place themselves somewhere on the grid that we want. And actually we need the column, grid column actually. And in here we destructure the data from the item, logo, text, name, and the job title is equal to this item. So let me use the components we've just created here, and then we go ahead and style them. So for the testimonial item we will pass some props to it. Empty grid row is equals to grid row, and grid column is equals to grid column, just like that. And then inside it we will use an image, img. This RC is going to be, let me see, we didn't import the images or actually we are getting that from the item, and then we are going to use the content. Inside the content we should import the code here, so let me import it. Code icon from, let's see, where are we? One more, and images, icons, and code .svg. I'll save it. Grab this one, come over here, as RC equals to this. We should set the width for it because the icon is too big. Icon is this one, and we want to size it down to this size. It's 32, I guess. Let me see. No, it's 14 actually. 16 to 14. So set the width to 16 pixels, and the height to 14 pixels. If I save that, it should be fine. We don't see that right over here because we haven't used it here, but we'll keep on moving forward. And then we should put these items inside and span. Okay, the block code, which contains an p tag that holds the text value, then the author. Inside the author we got the person, which holds the name. Then we have these job title, which holds the job title. Just like that. Okay, let's style them now. For the let me see. For the testimonial element, we're going to need the, let me see, what's the color here? Default white. Okay, so it's going to be background color, colors, default white. We need the colors to be imported. Grid column is going to be the value that was passed from the props, just like this. Or let's say something like this. If it doesn't exist, use that one. It's going to be grid row, and this one is going to be grid row 2. Just like this. For the margin top, we should use something like this. MT padding is going to be 1.8 rem. For the radius, 8 pixels. Let me make sure. Yes, it's 8 pixels. Or yeah, it's 8 pixels. The box shadow is going to be shadows dot dark. Let's save it. For the content, we need to set the display to flex. Then margin top to bottom. Align items to flex start. Then for the block code, we need to set some margin. 0.4 rem for top and bottom. No, sorry. 0.4 rem for top. 0 for right, 1 rem for bottom, and 0 for left. And actually for the author, we don't need anything. For person, should set the color. Text gray 900 and display to black, because if you set the display to black, it will push the next element or elements to the next line. It's kind of the same for the display flex and the flex direction to the column, but I wanted to not use the flex here again. So because there's only two elements here, if we don't set the block here on the person, the job title sits next to it, and if we set the display to block on this one, it pushes the next the element to the next line. And we should set the color here again for the job title, but it's going to be 700. Let me see. Yes, it's 700 and save. Okay, let's get back over here and use the items actually. So in here I'm going to use testimonial item. Okay, no suggestions. Let me copy this. Yes, we get the suggestion now. The item is going to be items, the first one. Then the grid column is going to be 7 span 4. It will place itself on the 7th row or the column, and it will span itself for the 4 more columns. That's what it does actually. And for the grid row, it should be 1 first row, and it should span itself for 4 columns. Let's save this. See where's the problem. In the testimonial item, we should import the image. Save this and get back over here. Okay, we don't see anything yet right now because we haven't styled this one. Sorry, this one. As you can see, the stylings are empty. So let me move this bottom. Oops. Move it here, and let's first start styling that. So we should set the background color first. Let's see what's the background color here. It's this one. So save this. Set the display to grid. Padding to let's see, 6 rems and 7 rems. We already used the display grid. We should give it a gap of 1 rem. And grid template columns. It's going to be 12 1 fractions. So now let's come back here. Okay, we don't get the background color. Let's see what's the reason here. It's because we haven't applied it to anything. So background color. Yes, now we got the background color here. Okay, next one is going to be for the text container. Okay, for the text container, it's going to get it a bit tricky. Not that much, but a bit tricky because we are going to use pseudo items for this code icon. Let me see this one. Grid column 3 span 4. As you can see, it will place it. Let me show you. If you come here, enable the grid, as you can see, the text here, grid column 3, it will place it on the third column, and it will span it for the 4 next columns. It will span it like that. It does the same for the row, so there's not much complexity here. Okay, grid row. It's going to be 1 and span 3 columns or rows actually. If I press save, you can see that it goes a bit down. And then the position is going to be relative because we are going to use the pseudo element. Position is relative. Okay, now let's use the pseudo element before. And content is going to be none. Set index is 0. Position is absolute. And background image, or just the background. URL. Do we have the code here? No, just let me grab it from here. And put it right in here. And set this to code icon. If I press save, we don't see that because we haven't set any width for it. So background size is going to be cover. Repeat is going to be no repeat. Width is going to be 120 pixels. Height is going to be 104 pixels. Then we should transform it a bit. If I save this, you can see that, let me turn this off. You can see that this one is here. We should transform it a little bit to the left and to the top. So we'll use transform, translate, minus 50% and minus 50% again. I save this. Okay, so I forgot this one. As you can see, it goes right in here, but we should give this one a position relative and give it a z index of 1 because it should overlap this one. So let me copy this one over here for a title, position to relative, and the z index to 1. If I save this, you can see that it will overlap this one. So let's place the other items here now that we got the testimonials. It's going to be the second item and the third item. Let's check if we got the right logos. Book my show, and values for these two is going to be 4 and span 3. It's going to be 4 and 4 here, and the next one is 7 span 4 and 5 span 3. This one gets a bit margin to the top, one of them. If I save this, you can see they're so ugly. So what's the reason? I think I messed up something here. Yes, it should be 3. If I save it, you can see that they sit right to each other. It's a bit similar to this, not quite exactly the same, but it's the closest I could get. So we'll move to the next section, which is stats. So let's go ahead and do the stats here. I'll close this one, minimize this one, and create a new folder called stats. New file called stats.js. React functional component. Okay, grab this one. For the stats, we need the icons here, these 4 icons. So I'll import them, or I could import them from, let me see, where did we use this? Inside this feature. So we need 4 of them. We'll import them here, and let's see what are the text styles. This one is H2, lead 1, and let's see, body 1 and H4. So import H2, H4, import body, then let me see, what was this one? This one was lead. Actually, I think we need to create new items for this, so we should move the body and the H4 to that items, but we will do that in a sec. Once again, we are going to define a new variable items equals to array of items. ID is 1, image icon 1, title to something. We are not going to set that right now, and the subtitle. Okay, save this, and let me duplicate it 4 times. Change the IDs 3, 4, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, first title is 1000 plus, then 2 million, and 500 plus with the clients. Then actually I missed that. It's going to be downloads per day. Downloads per day. 500 plus should be here. This should be millions, and users, 2 million users, 500 clients, and 140 countries. So that's it. Okay, right in here we need a styled component called counts. It's a div, new item, new component called stat item.js. Just like that, React functional component, set item, copy this element here, const set item element styled span. So for in here we need the body and the h4. So I will copy them or cut them, paste them here. We need the image here too. And we will get the values from the item. Const we don't need the ID, icon, title, and the text. So for the image, it's going to be icon. Then we put them in span. H4. H4. It's going to be title. The other one is going to be body, which is the text. And we should style this. Display to flex. Align items, center. Gap 1 rem. And white space to no wrap. Just like that. Now in here, we should use span. Then H2. It's going to be, let me see, 18 years of our 18 years of achievements. I will create a new line here. Then we need the lead. Okay, with our superpowers that we have reached this. That's the text. And then we use the counts and map the items in it. Stats item. The key is going to be item.id. And the item is going to be item itself. Save this, get back here. Let's see, we haven't included it yet. So stats. Okay, we get an error here because it's not defined. Import it. We get the error for the icon here. So yeah, that's because we have copied those. Let me see. Where are we here? Okay, one is extra here. So I will go ahead and say something like this. I'll remove those. And we should be good to go. Yes, we got them all here, but there's something wrong with the icons. Let me see. Icon 2, 3, 4. Right. So what's wrong here? The image. I think we messed up the image. Set item. It's RC2. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, it's image here. Should be icon. And now we got those. So let's style the items here. So first of all, we set these one to flex, or give it some padding. 3 rem, 7 rem. Display to flex. Align items. Center. Then flex wrap. to wrap, and gap to rem. Save those. For the counts, set the display to grid template column to one fraction and one fraction. It actually creates two column, and gap of 2 rem with the flex of 1. And if we save this, we get this one right here. But it's not what we want. There is a lot of white space here, so we change this to 1. Oh, it's not with this one. Should be 1. Oh, nope. Actually, let me compare this one. Let's see. There is the grid. It's not the same size at this one. Let's see if I can set the height to 100%. Oh, it doesn't affect it. Okay, it's kind of the same, but you can work around with it, change some styling, get it fixed. We're going to move to next section, because it's going to be some CSS tricks here. So next section is going to be feature single 5. So we come back in here. Let me see. We come back in here. Let me remove those. And for in here, inside the features, we create a new folder called single. Inside the single folder, we create a new file called feature.s.js, and in here we need an image, but let me create this one first. This component, we need the image here for this phone markup. So import phone markup from the images, and it's a phone markup. Here we need an headline. Let me see. Headline 3, delete 1, and the link item. So import h3. No, we don't get that. Styled h3. With the, what was this again? It was lead 1. Then we need to import the LLI, just like that. Okay. We need an image container here for this one. Then we need another image styled. It inherits from the image component. And the content. And the style that div. So let's use them. Image container and img src equals to phone mockup. Let's see. Yep, the phone mockup. And then the content. Inside the content we need the heading 3 h3 headline. Then we need the lead, and I will copy this, paste it over here, and at the end we use LLI, the href of nothing basically. The text is going to be get started. We press save, come back here, use the feature single, save this one, come here. Yes, we got them all here, but as you can see, the problem is this one already been visited, but the color goes back to the, let me see, the color is fine actually, but where's the problem? So the color is not fine. Let me see. And here, yes, we should cover here and say when visited, the color to purple. Now if we refresh the page, it's fine now. So let's come here, back to the feature, and start styling them. For the feature element, we set the display to flex, align items to center, padding of not padding top, padding in general 3 rem and 7 rem for the sides, and the gap of 2 rem. Should be it. As you can see, we got this. Now for the image container, we got to set a background image, which is purple 100. But first, we should set the border radius to 8 pixels. Background color is equals to colors dot brand, or actually we should include it first or import it first. Purple 100 and save it. Let me see. Yeah, it does apply. The position is going to be relative because we are going to give this image a position of absolute. Right here, because we set the position to relative, and this is going to be position absolute, and there is no other other elements in here. This one is going to be it's getting the full width but not the height. It doesn't get any height because it doesn't contain anything, and actually it contains the image, but the image's position is absolute, but it does not expand. So we should give it width and height. So I'll come here. The width and height is 540 pixels, so I will set that here. Height is going to be 540 pixels, and the min width is 540 pixels, and the overflow is hidden, as you can see, and it fixes itself to 140 pixels, and the phone image should be kind of calibrated right now in the center. So for the image, come here, set the position to absolute. The left is going to be 500%. Top is going to be 500%, because we are moving it kind of in here. Yeah, I should use the image here. It's going to be here. Now we transform it back to the center. So not the center, kind of in center vertically, horizontally, not vertically. And transform, translate minus 50% to align it in center, and minus 35% to drag it up. So as you can see, it's kind of the same as this one. We should give some spacing for these ones and we are good to go. Now, and let's come down here for the, let me see, for the content. We should set the position to flex, display to flex, sorry. Display flex. Flex direction. Column. And row gap. 2 row. And just like that. We get the spacing that we wanted. Okay, let's move to the next feature. So I'll create a new file called, or actually I could copy this, or I don't know, we can go ahead and create a new one. Feature as number 2. So create functional component, just like this. Const feature styled. Dot article. We should import the style. For the next one, we need this image here, bulb image. So I will import it. But let me copy this one from here. Bulb image. Bulb. And let's see, we have H3 lead, and that's all. Import H3 and lead. Now that we got them, we should go ahead and use them here. So we should have an image here. Import img. Now we need the content. And in here, let me copy this. H3 lead. Let me grab this one, paste it over here, and right down here we use the mg. And just save it. And let's get back here, include it. We got that. Now we should go to the styling. For the feature elements, we're going to set the display to flex. flex direction, column, align item center, padding 3 rem for the sides, 7 rem, 3 rem for the top and bottom, 7 rem for the sides, or yeah, 7 rem for the sides, and gap of 2 rem. And after that, set the content, display to flex, column, gap, 3 rem. Now we are going to set these two to flex fonts so they take 50% of the parent, each one of them. So first one is H3. Flex font, copy this, paste it over here, same for the span. And if we save that, you can see they both take the same value, just like that. Okay. Now that we've done this, let's go to the next section, which is this CTA. So create a new folder here inside the components called CTA. Oh, I created another file again. My bad. New folder, CTA, new file, cta.js, get functional component, style.article. For this CTA, we need 4 images, these 2 and these 2. So I will import them. Actually, I could grab these 2 from the header. Paste them over here. Then import, or first let me include the CTA here. Do we get the error? Yes, CTA is not defined. Import it, save it. Yes, we get the CTA here. Okay, now we need the font mockups. Font mockup from mockup 2 and 3. I'm using different font mockups because the size are different for these 2 images, and I wanted to use the same images. So you could use the last ones and change the size and give the image a size property here 232, but I rather to use the smaller images. Now what do we need here? We need H2, lead, and subtitle 2. So import H2 and a lead, and subtitle 2. Okay, save that. Now write down here, we should define some items. First one is going to be left column. Actually, I'm going to use div here. Next one is going to be get the app, or get app. It inherits from the subtitle. Is that subtitle 2? Yeah, it's subtitle 2. On the right column. Start the div. And image 1, which inherits from the image. And image 2. So save those, and let's continue to use them inside the component. So we use the columns here, left column alongside with the right column. Inside the left column we use the H2. Yes, H2. And grab this, paste it over here. Then we use the delete for this text over here. And use a span here. Then use the get app. Then these two images. So IMG RC is going to be Google Play. Actually, I'm going to give it some inline styling, so I'll use style and margin right. One of them. App Store here and remove the styling. Save it over here. Let me see. What do we have here? Yes, we got them all. And go back here. This section is over for this section. Inside the right column. Image 1 RC is phone mockup 2. I don't know, one mockup 2. It should be capitalized. Check that. Yes, it's capitalized. And the next one, it's going to be font mockup, on the font mockup. And save it. Let's see. Yes, we got the images. We should switch that. This one should be 2. Now it's fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and style them. For the CTA element, we are going to set padding 0 for top and bottom, 7 rem for the sides. Background color. Color. You see that? Okay. Colors. Import the colors. Brand. Okay. And set the display to flex. Gap to 3 rem. Overflow to hidden, just like that. Come here, you can see that's like this. For the left column, padding of 3 rem. For all of the elements we set the 3 rem here, but these two images are sticking to the borders, so we cannot apply the padding to the whole thing. We apply the padding of 3 rem for the top and bottom to the left column, just like this. And 0 for the sides. Display to flex flex direction, it with column, and it should be flexed so it will take all the available space. Now inside here you could access the lead, the child lead. If you look at this, let me see, where's the lead? Yes, right here. If you want to access the lead, we can just go ahead and call it here, lead, and margin bottom 2.5 rem, this margin right here. And for the get app, display is going to be lock, margin bottom is 0.5 rem. Okay, now for the right column, you should set the flex to 1 and position to relative. Just like that, because we are going to give these two images position of absolute. We checked that already, we got the left section up and running, but we should size these two and move them here and here on the bottom. So for the image 1, set the position to absolute, left to 0, top to 0, and transform it. Minus 20%. And give it the filter, drop shadow, shadows dot phone. Let me see, should import the shadows first. Phone, let me see, what do we have here? I think it's the mobile mockup. Let's save it. Yes, it got the shadow. The next image, let me copy this one. This one is going to be bottom and 25%. Okay, and now we should set this one to the right, not to the left, and save it. And this one goes to the right, as you can see it. So in here I should change this to plus 25% of the, oh actually it should be y axis, and this one too, and minus, just like that. So as you can see, these two, they're a bit together, close together, but as I told you, this design is not responsive. You can go ahead and give these two something like this if you don't want them to get close to each other, but they will get close to each other eventually. But if you want really want to, you can go ahead and say, I don't know, 5% to the right, as you can see, but they will eventually get together when you make this a bit smaller, because you should actually move this one to bottom and give it some breakpoints and change the styling of the whole section depending on the width of the viewport. So but it does a trick. As you can see, we get the result that we wanted here. So it's exactly the same as this one. So let's move to the last section, which is footer. I'll create a new folder here called footer, and create a new file, footer in it. Get functional components, copy this one, paste it over here, and style dot footer, just like that. In footer we need let me see, we need the logo here, and these two badges actually. So I will grab those from the CTA here, App Store and the Google Play. We need the logo, images, logo.svg. Let me see, let's first include it here. And inside the footer, let's see, we have the subtitle 2, the body 1, body 1, body 2. Okay, import subtitle 2, import body 1 and the body 2, just like that. In here we need 2 columns, just like the last one, left column and the right column. So const left column, style.div, copy this and right. Okay. After that we need the row here, because we are going to actually use this to the download now and the license in the row. That's span. Then we need another navigation here, style.nav, not the name, nav. Oops, again. Then we got the right column, and that's kind of it. So let's use them. We're going to use the left column here alongside with the right column. What was that? Right column. And inside the left column we should use the logo. So img src logo with the width of 32 pixels. Let me check it again. Yes, it's 32 pixels. Then we're going to use a row. Inside the row we use body. As I told you, you can use the as here. So we render that as an A. Download now. And the license. I'm pretty sure I misspelled the license, so I'll just grab it and replace it here. And then we use the nav, just the same as these two. Actually, let me remove this. Give it a href. 6 of those. Oops, misclicked, and we're going to use them all. Remove them. First one is going to be about, features, pricing, carriers, and help, and the privacy policy. Just like that. After that, we need to trademark. We're using body. Actually give it some inline styling. Color. Colors dot, we should import the colors. Text dot gray 300. Copy this trademark. Just like that. And actually we are going to render this one as small for the footer. Just put this small, the copyright or anything that you put in here, copyright or something like that, inside the small tag. Okay, just save it. Come over here, refresh the page. So what's the problem here? Body 2. There's a problem with body 2. Let's see. Import body. Body 2 from styled body. Oh, the problem is the naming here. There's the style here. The body 2. Now it's good to go. Refresh the page. Okay, image is not imported. Import image. So no problemo here. Okay, now that we've done that, let's move to the right column, which contain 3 elements. First one is subtitle. Subtitle 2. I'll give it some inline styling, same as this one. You could go ahead and create a new styled component and inherit from the subtitle 2. I just want to show you how to use inline styling. And text is get the app. Then we have those 2 images. It's RC, App Store, Google Play, and if we press save, we should see those 2. Yes. Now let's style the footer. First, I think we should start with the color. Colors dot default dot black. And let me set the font. Oh, sorry. The color is white, and the background color. Background color is black. Display to flex. Adding 3 rem, 7 rem as always. Let's see. Yes, the change. Now, let's see. Where's the navigation? We never used the navigation. Oh, the navigation is right here, but it's the color is black, so I should come here inside the nav and A tags, set them to visited, or actually cut this, put them here. I set the color to white. Let's save that. You can see that they change. So, and let's come here. Left column, it's going to be flex, display flex. It's flex 1 first of all, then flex direction is column, the gap 1.5 rem, save it. Okay, then for the row display is going to be flex. What was that? Let me grab this, remove this one, and the gap, or the actual gap, it's going to be 1 rem. Same for the navigation, and that's I think that's all for the left column. So the right column is going to be display flex, same as this. Flex direction column, it should not be flex 1, and the row gap should be 1 rem. And there you go. As you can see, we got the project done over here. We got everything working. But one thing that I want to mention, that I was wondering in the start from the styling of the actually the text, because this project right here uses the Poppins font right here, but the design over here doesn't use the Poppins font. The font is different, and that's why we get these mixed up stylings. So let me see, where's the, yeah, right here you can go ahead and download these two fonts, and or you could just go ahead and import them using Google Fonts. So I will come here, Google Fonts, in here, and actually I got them before, as you can see, all the styling from the Manrope, this one, and the non-pen script, which we never used in this tutorial. You can use your fonts here, grab this one, come inside this folder here, inside the public index right here. Actually, you can come here and change the title to change this to YT React UI and Landify, and in here right in the heading, by the way, you can go ahead and remove all these comments, you don't need them. You can read them, but you don't need them. Paste that, press save, and copy this one, come back to index where we apply the global styling, paste it over here, remove this, we never use it, remove this one, and save. If you refresh, we need the new fonts. Actually, we see our new fonts here, and the stylings kind of work right now, yes, as you can see. And let me see. Font family is Manrope. Yes. And as you can see, the project is over, the tutorial is over. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell so you get the new notification for the videos, because the new videos are coming. The next video is going to be about responsive designs in React, and let me know in the comments what you want me to make videos about, and take care.